Hello, and welcome to HRBC show called Let's Talk. So today we have Mr. KD O'Neill, and he's the founder of the Black Collective Stock and Investors Group. Hey,
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So, would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So my name's KD. I'm pretty regular. I'm a guy out of Louisville, Kentucky. I'm 46 years old, and about 6 years ago, I got started in the stock market, and it was during not but yeah in the stock market, and I think followed by that year was the pandemic, and basically I didn't know anything about trading stocks or options, but I was like, hey, I got to learn because I couldn't work at the time because of the pandemic. And I was like, I have no ways of making money right now. Like, I can't go out and work. Uh, and even if I did, it's the pandemic. So I started learning how to trade stocks. And I made a lot of money. And now I try to teach other people, especially particularly Black people, how to invest, trade stocks, buy options, and teach people financial literacy through these markets.
Awesome. So, I got a few questions for you. Are you ready?
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
All right. So, what made you start this group?
I would say I'm not going to say I started it. I want to shout out to my friend Dr. Natasha Ball. She actually started the group. And I'm what you call a reluctant leader. So I was buying stocks and I was making money and I was posting it on my Facebook page. And me and her, she had called me up and said, well, what is, tell me more about this stock. And I told her about it. I posted it all over my Facebook for like a year. And then the pandemic hit, and that particular stock made a lot of money. And he was like, you should really start, telling people about this. You should, teach people how you made money, and we should start like a Facebook group. I was like, I don't know the first thing about starting a Facebook group, and I don't have a desire to do so. So I was like, I don't want to do it. And she's like, but I think you should. And I was like, okay, cool. So if we can find a group of people that's interested in teaching how to trade stocks or help me learn more about trading stocks, that'd be great. And we started the Black Collective Stock and Investor Group. And we had a lot of awesome people reach out to us that were eager to teach Black people, myself included, how to trade stocks, understand options, and things of that sort. And that's pretty much how it got started.
Okay. I also need to let people know that if you have questions, feel free to type it in the chat, and we may get to it, we may not. But you can still put it in the chat. My next question: what is the purpose of the group?
The purpose is to educate our people on financial literacy, not just pertaining to just the stock market, but politics, government, real estate, crypto. We do pretty much everything just to educate people because there's a large portion of the African American community that is unaware of these things: stock markets, financial literacy, health insurance, life insurance, and there is a need for our people to learn about these things because I think just from my observation, our people, we tend to focus more on what we say the superficial things. Like we are aware of, we're like the number one consumer. We buy all the products, we buy the clothes. We love Nikes, we love Jordans, we love Apple products, iPhones. But a lot of us don't invest in the actual companies. And to get, a return on these sort of things, you get more money and more value buying stock in a product than actually buying the product itself. For example, I think 30 years ago you could have bought Air Jordans for $200, but if you spent $200 on Nike stock 30 years ago, you'd be a millionaire today. And a lot of people don't know that. And then if you look, primarily the Caucasian group of people, they're very heavy into markets, stocks, bonds, dividends, yields, RRAs, things like that. So I feel like it's information that our people need to be privy to and need to know about. And unfortunately, a lot of our people in our culture aren't aware of markets and have any literacy pertaining to it. So it's very important. As far as moving forward with our everyday lives, it's super important, and you can like make a lot of money in it as well.
Just a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. I will say that the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit.
Okay, cool. All right. So you have a bunch of other group admins. So tell me a little bit of the specialties of the other group admins.
This was really cool because when I initially got used to starting the group, like I said, it was more other people than myself. So I was not aware of things. And when I don't know something, I like to get someone that's actually has expertise in it if I don't. So the first thing I wanted to understand was I didn't understand what they called the options market. I didn't know what options were. So I called a gentleman. He was in a group and he was what they call an options trader. And I asked him, I said, I don't know about options. And he was like, absolutely, I'll teach you. And I was like, cool. So he taught me. And I was like, well, we don't have a moderator. So maybe you could be one. And then so forth. It was just people, initially people who came forth that wanted to help. I had a gentleman named Marcus Jones. He is one of our admins. He called me up and he said, hey, I do Forex. And it's important that our Black people learn how to trade Forex, or at least, be aware of it. And he said, whatever I need to do, I want to help out. And this was like, super cool. So he became a moderator. We had another gentleman at the time. I think he was a Morgan Stanley financial advisor named Taj. He contacted me. He said, "Hey, I love what you're doing for our people. If there's anything I can do, let me know, and I'll put out my services in the group." I was like, "Cool, be a moderator." And then it just went on. We had a lot of people that volunteered. They want to put out useful information or informative or educational information about markets, politics, and things of that sort. So we've been doing that for the past 5 years.
That's awesome. Okay. So now you once said it doesn't matter who is in the presidential office. Why not?
Because money, there's powers that be that run the world. I think a lot of people, the president, we always say, is a figurehead. The president can't do everything. He needs the permission of Congress and things of that sort. And before we even get above Senate and Congress, uh, the president, you look at the financial aspect. He who holds the money, or they who holds the money, are the ones that really hold the power. So when we speak about that, you want to think of who would the who would the president and Senate be mostly concerned about, or who do they not have power over but have to request from? And that would be the Federal Reserve. So when you hear that, you've heard of the Federal Reserve, right? So the Federal Reserve is really the power that be in the United States. A lot of people don't understand it. When they hear the Federal Reserve, you think it's government, right? It's the Federal Reserve. But actually, it's not. It's a privately owned. It's pretty much some of the most wealthiest families in the world came together and created a bank and loaned money to United States of America. And they have a chairman. His name's Jerome Powell. He comes on every month, speaks here and there. When that man speaks, he controls people's everyday life. He controls global markets simply by talking. And when he talks, egg prices go up, stock markets go up and down. And what's crazy is he's the representative of the Federal Reserve, meaning he's not even the guy that's really in charge. He's just their herald, the guy that speaks for them. So when we speak about the president, like they said, the president has no power over the Federal Reserve. Just like when Trump got in office, they asked him, are you going to fire Jerome Powell? And then they asked Jerome Powell flat out said he doesn't have the power to do it. Flat out. And that's a bold statement to say on world TV that the president, they said, are you going to step down if the president wants you to leave your job? And you know what his response was? And I quote, he said, And this was a white guy. He said, nope, like this. He said, nope. That's a bold man. Go back and watch
Mhm.
it. Watch his response. He didn't say, no, I don't think so. He said, nope. And when a man can tell the president of the United States, the commander in chief, the most powerful man in the free world, nope, you might want to look in that direction and see who that person is. And he answers to people that you never see. So you got to wonder who his bosses are and what they
Mm.
do. And they control the world's finances. They control the finance of the United States of America by debt. They keep the U.S. in debt. They loan money, and that's why we have the national debt. Most of it is to the Federal Reserve.
Mm. Okay.
Interest
That's deep.
rates.
That's
Yeah.
deep right there.
Yeah.
All right. What you mean interest rate? You just spit that out there. What you
Interest
saying?
rates. So when we talk about that, and I love talking about these things, especially to our people. When you hear about, the big word is the I word, inflation. When you hear about gas, eggs, rent, mortgages, and you say, hey, what makes the price of food go up? Why am I paying, you know, $3.99 for a 99-cent cheeseburger at McDonald's? It used to be 99 cents. Or I remember I used to be able to get, Frito-Lay chips 2 for $1. Now they are 4 for $1. Now they 2 for $1.70, 2.79. I'm like, how does this happen? And you hear this term inflation. And people are like, well, how does inflation go up? Well, it's because the Federal Reserve loans money to all, pretty much any U.S. company making over $200,000 a year. Most companies take loans from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve are, in other words, the SBA, the Small Business Association. You ever heard of that? The
Mhm.
SBA was created by the Federal Reserve as kind of like a median between the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government. And they help Americans, by giving them loans and stimulating the economy. How do you stimulate the economy? By giving businesses loans. They create jobs. So when we look at the recipients of SBA loans, you'll be quite impressed who are the main recipients. Ford, McDonald's, Target, Walmart, uh, Mercedes Benz, the Denver Broncos, Tom Brady, Kanye West, it doesn't matter, Roseanne Barr, the names goes on, Tesla, it doesn't matter. All of these companies or entities operate, Netflix, they all operate off of SBA loans. Why would a company that makes money take a SBA loan? Because it's free money. Here's an example. If you make, let's say you make $100,000 a year or $1 million a year, right? And the SBA comes to you and says, hey, we'll give you $1 million loan, but you don't got to pay it back for 30 years. You think to yourself, well, I make $1 million a year and you're telling me I got 30 years to pay this back. So give or take, I can pay this money back way before, you know, 30 years, but would you take it? Of course you would. It's free money. So what happens here is they say, well, we're just going to charge you a fixed rate interest. And you just pay us the interest as long as you want. 30 years, take as long as you want. Then they give you the loan. They say, hey, we know we offered you $1 million, but if you want, we'll give you 15 million. If you want it. You can decide if you want it or not. And most people will do what? They'll take that
Take it.
loan. And
Mhm.
what happens here is like Visa, MasterCard, all of these companies take these loans. And what happens is the SBA's job is to stimulate the economy, help US companies create jobs. And then when they see you doing really good with your company, how do they see that you're doing good with your company? Most companies file taxes, of course, or they're publicly traded in the stock markets. So they see what you make. And then when they see that you're doing good economically, they say, well, hey, we're going to raise our interest rates so you can pay us back a little bit sooner. Make sense? And then when you raise the rates, most of these companies don't want to pay the out-of-pocket expense. Say McDonald's, say they have 99-cent cheeseburgers, and the SBA or the Federal Reserve raises the rate that they have to pay the money back. They say, well, we done borrow like $20 billion, so we got to start paying them like 10 million a month. What are we going to do to offset that? Say, well, we could raise Cheeseburgers a dime. And they say, yeah. And they say, we can raise it every month. People aren't going to notice it right away, but we can pay back that money by raising the cost of a cheeseburger. So the first month we raised the cheeseburger from 99 cents to $1.09. And then next, maybe in 3 months, we'll raise it to $1.09 to $1.29. And then next thing you know, you're buying cheeseburgers for $1.79 or $2. Why stop raising the rates? Because not only is the consumer not going to notice or care, they're going to still buy it. And if they're still buying it, they don't got a problem with it. But in return, we're covering the interest rates that McDonald's or that burger joint has to pay back to the government instead of them paying the out-of-pocket expense. So that's how you get inflation. And so when you hear interest rates going up, that's because the rich people, the big wigs on top, don't want to pay that out-of-pocket expense or that upcharge on that interest rate increase. But the government or the Federal Reserve comes down and they look at the American spending. They look at like what we call CPI data every month. That's Consumer Price Index. Just sees what Americans are spending. Then they wait once a year. Once a year, they wait to see how much money Americans really have. And then they see how much you spend. And if you spend a lot of money, they go up on rates. That one particular day, or that one particular week is called Black Friday. That's not a holiday time. It's a time to let the government know how much money Americans actually have. You say you're broke, but you go out and spend a fortune during November and December. So that lets us know we can go up on interest rates even further. When Americans stop buying and stop purchasing, interest rates start to go down because no one's buying. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's what we mean when we say interest rates. Sorry I went so long, but I wanted to explain it.
No problem. I like it. I like it. All right. So, tell us about your Patron channel. What is it about?
Did you say Patron? Patreon?
Oh, Patreon. Yeah.
How you know what bottle I got in my car right now?
Look at me. I'm thinking of my drink after this. Okay.
I most certainly am when I leave here. Well, no, when I had my group, of course, we got a lot of influx of a lot of people that got into the group. At some point, we went up to like 11,000 people. And then we were starting to get a lot of questions, a lot of people that were interested, really wanted to get into the stock market and learn. And I was like, I was getting like 200, 300, 400 messages a day in inbox. And I'll try to help as many people as I possibly can. But then it was just like my phone was going off 24/7. I was like, I can't do this. So I said, well, we had already eventually started a Patreon. So people could tune in who wanted to learn how to trade and get detailed synopsis by people who do trading. And it ended up just being me in the end. And I ended up starting a Patreon to get people interested or who was interested in how I make money in the stock market and want to learn the method of how I do it and get them to subscribe there. And they get a more detailed personal experience with myself where I'm actually teaching people versus where if I'm in Facebook, we're limited to what we can say and do as far as giving out advice or signaling for particular movements in the stock market. So that's how I started the Patreon.
Awesome. Okay. Now, can you give us a quick look at how you choose what to purchase and what is the signal to sell it?
An example is it's not to sell or buy, like, and it's depending. Of course, we have stocks and we have options and we have crypto. But typically, when you're a beginner in the stock market, such as yourself, they always tell you, buy something or look into a company that you know of or you purchase or buy personally. So that's the first thing you'll hear in the stock market from most people. In actuality, it really doesn't matter. The goal is to buy low, sell high. If I see something for $1 and it goes up to $2, I sell it. I made money off of it, as known as profiting or taking profit. So the goal is it can be any stock or anything you're looking at. If you see a nice purse at a thrift shop and it's a Gucci or a Louis Vuitton, but it's on sale for $5, but from experience that that's a $300 purse, you're gonna definitely buy it, aren't you? And if
Yes.
it holds value, and that you can sell it for $300, right? You don't have
Yes.
to hold. You can hold on to it, or you can sell it. So Same concept. You buy at the lowest price and you sell, and you come back and you do it again and you accumulate money, whether it's a few cents, a few dollars, a few $100,000, it doesn't matter. The goal is to buy it at a cheaper price and sell it at a higher price and make a profit from it. Make sense? So the
Yes.
selection doesn't matter. If you see something, a value like a nice pair of red bottom shoes at a yard sale, and the lady says $5, but you know those are real red bottoms, you're gonna buy them for $5. You're gonna be happy because you know they're valued more than the $5 that you got them, and you can sell it for way more than what you bought it for.
Yes. Okay. Well, you have a question. It says, how many stocks do you normally trade?
Most professional stock traders, probably successful ones, probably don't trade any more than 10 at best, because each stock is, think of it like an individual, like a person, and you are keeping up with 10 different people. The more people you keep up with, are, the harder it is to watch what they're doing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you trade stocks, you can really just trade one stock and be very successful at it, and buy it. Let's say it goes up $3 one day, you sell it, and then it goes down. You buy it again when it's cheap. When it goes up again, sell it, and constantly do it. You don't have to hold it. You just buy it and sell it. I know a lady that's a multimillionaire, and all she does is trade Tesla. She
Mm.
trades nothing but Tesla, and that's amazing. So yes, so most
Mm.
good traders, we don't go around just picking a bunch of stocks and buying and holding stocks. No, we don't do that. We hold like
Mm.
5 to 10 stocks, and we buy and sell. Pretty much get rid of them within the same day or week. Depends on our position or how long before we think it's going to let us profit.
Okay. All right. So my last question is there anything else you would like to share with the people?
I think it's very important in this magnet. Where we at in the economy and how the government is working, and job security is very, very, very questionable right now. And he's, politically, and then just in general because of what's going on, inflations, tariffs, a particular person in office that makes Americans fearful of what's going to happen in the future. You don't, jobs are shutting down. There can be pandemics.
Mm.
The one thing that is consistent that's global are these markets, these stock markets. um, I can say I didn't do bad in my regular life. I made 6 figures before I learned the stock market. But what I can say now is I make 10 times more than what I made uh, with my annual salary. I make my annual salary monthly now. And people ask me, they say, well, how long does it take you to learn? I was like, really, a good solid 40 hours. And most
Mm.
people say, that's a lot of time. And I was like, but you spend 40 hours a
Working.
week working for someone else, making them rich. So you might want to rethink your strategy, because you're not gonna really be financially successful working a regular 9 to 5 job, especially with how interest rates are up and how expensive it is to buy a house. So you have to
Mm.
find something other than, I mean, there's nothing wrong with DoorDash and Uber Eats, but there's easier ways to make money. So I urge everyone to start learning global markets, stock markets, because it's part of your everyday life. And join the Black Collective, or my Patreon as well. But we preach it that people should definitely learn market.
Awesome. But I don't need everybody to quit Uber Eats and DoorDash because I don't like to leave the house. So
I know most people. Hey, no, I'm the same. I'm the same. I'm the same. I am the same.
well, I just want to thank you again for coming and talking to us. And I don't see any more questions. So
I got one,
thank you
one,
so
one
much.
one more thing, real quick. Atlanta, April 25th, Friday, from 12 to 4 p.m. I'm going to be doing a live seminar over at the Hudson Grill in Dunwoody, out in Atlanta. We have tickets available at Eventbrite, or you can come to our group in the Black Collective, or just Facebook me, Katie O'Neill, to get some information. I'll be doing a live seminar teaching people over brunch how to trade stocks. April 25th, 2025, out here in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you know anybody, please, by all means, let them know. Come out and holler at me. And that's it.
Okay. Well, I'll probably copy the flyer and put it over here
Thank you
on
so
this
much,
app
sister. I
too.
appreciate that.
No problem. But again, thank you again, and see you. Bye,
I hope we
y'all.
see you soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.